A case against the existence of gravity. Hello again. Thank you for being here with me once more. I hope you are very well today. I am Marie. This information can be seen as science fiction, or as the viewer sees best, and I post it for entertainment purposes only. Still, I take my information very seriously, and for whoever has eyes to see. This next is a chain of thoughts I had today while being alone with myself, and spawned from my little hairy head, so thank you, and welcome to another Mari Swaruu monologue. One of the biggest problems the Taygetans and the Swaruu have encountered when trying to communicate with humans is language. Words hold different meanings depending on who is using them, and even worse, they many times are also charged or loaded with a more expanded group of meanings and values, which are strongly attached to them. Some words are more loaded than others, and in this case, I argue that the word gravity is extremely loaded, to the point where it can, or may be constantly causing misconceptions and all kinds of problems. The very word gravity is a completely human term, as I have just come to find out, and has no direct translation to the Taygetan language, contrary to what could be expected. And it is precisely here with this, where serious problems start to arise. The word gravity started to be used by Isaac Newton as a modern scientific term. Although it existed before but only as a popular concept to explain why things fall, and since Newton has been in the vocabulary of all the matrix-based sciences on Earth, especially those related to physics, astronomy, and cosmology. The word gravity is directly connected to the meaning it was given by Earth science, and is irrevocably connected directly to all the formulas that are used by Earth's physics and science to explain cosmology in general, and that is to explain how suns, stars, planets, and all other stellar objects, big or small, work and interact with one another. Gravity, therefore, is a heavily loaded human word that is connected to its given meaning, which is in turn connected to all the formulas of physics which use gravity and its equations as the very basis for their entire model of how the universe works, being that gravity as such and its formulas are so important and basic for Earth science, that without it, the entire human cosmology would fall apart. Perhaps even more so than the human concept of the speed of light, as a cosmic speed limit, which is also used as a constant in all human cosmologic formulas. The problem with the very word, gravity, is that you cannot use it without its entire meaning, which includes all the mathematical formulas that are behind it, which anyone using that word is inadvertently validating. I know that all of my predecessors, and myself, have been using the word gravity without giving it much of a thought, or what they are validating while using it, until now when I came along. For example, in the much-used phrase, quote, gravity is a flow of consciousness in the very high-frequency liquid called the ether, end quote, my predecessors, and even I before this point, are inadvertently validating all the mathematical and physics formulas which are attached to the word gravity, as if they were all true. When studying gravity and all the formulas that are behind it, I find that they are nothing more than more of the self-validating, mathematical soup, of the self-sustained, base 10 mathematical model used on Earth, one which is only valid within its limited formulas, and that does not reflect the real empirical world. When explaining Taygetan concepts with human words, this must be taken into serious consideration, as I doubt that the word gravity, as such, is the only one which has been causing problems. When looking at what gravity is from the human physics and mathematical point of view, I see that it does not behave as the consciousness flows in the ether, as Taygetans describe in their technological concepts. The concept of gravity as it is understood on Earth is rigid and predictable, It is a mathematical constant, as accepted by earth science itself, that incidentally hasn't been able to explain what exactly gravity is. I initially thought that they couldn't understand what it was, simply because earth science does not officially accept, nor take into account the ether, and other planes of existence such as the spirit world, the astral planes, other densities, dimensions, and so on. But now I am starting to realize that they cannot fully explain what gravity is, simply because they are stuck in their own contradictions and mathematical conundrums. There is a concept bouncing among the squashed globe community, you know what I mean, that states that gravity does not exist, and that objects fall to the ground because of a buoyancy effect, where things that are lighter than air rise, and those heavier, fall. Water, such as the one in the oceans, is also part of the atmosphere of any planet. It is simply denser than air, therefore called the hydrosphere, but you can see how things behave in a fluid, and apply the same concept to things in the air. Although I am not a squashed glober, as you know, simply because I can look out my window to see the earth is round, I am saying this for what it is worth. I think the squashed globers have a point there, claiming that things fall to the ground because of a simple buoyancy effect. So now I started to think about how Taygetan concepts could more accurately be described with human words, without using loaded words, such as gravity. I even started to realize that even other Taygetan explanations about gravity are only adaptations of the original Taygetan concepts, to fit in and justify their existence to an earth understanding that already has the word gravity and all its loaded meanings in it. This, for example, in the next phrase, quote, "Gravity does not attract or pull things, it rather pushes them, as the water in a flowing river pushes a floating leaf or a twig against a rock," end quote. Although I still find this phrase objectively correct, it is a distorted use of both what gravity means to earth science, and what that flow really is for the Taygetans. As I said above, there is no translation of the word gravity in the Taygetan language, it simply does not exist as such. The flow in the ethers, in higher vibration existential planes, and from where all things are manifested, is consciousness itself, exactly as described in the theory of manifestation. As I have said before, space is not empty, it is an ultra-high vibrational fluid, it is the ether itself, although ether also has several vibrational levels in itself, but that is another subject. People on Earth are trained and programmed to think of consciousness, awareness, intention, and focus as simply subjective terms, more into the realms of philosophy, and not as things that can have a direct action on material objects. What is just a thought in the material realm is a solid object or real situation in a lighter existential realm, such as the higher astral planes from where everything is being manifested. Moreover, it is those who hold consciousness, who manifest into existence those very objects that are used to describe and define what is also called the material world. The word, gravity, must never be used again to describe Taygetan concepts and technology, as it links and validates it with earth science and its countless lies. As far as I have been able to see and realize, gravity as described on Earth does not exist, as it is only more of those self-validating mathematical concepts that sustain the matrix on Earth, and therefore keep people, mind imprisoned there. Its very logical, highly compelling and convincing formulas are valid only when viewed from the limited point of view of Earth science and understanding, but does not reflect the outside world it intends to explain. When gravity is used in physics to explain astral movements, it only ends up explaining some of the factors which are involved in the dynamics and the relationship between stellar objects. Therefore the equations for gravity are perfectly valid, but limited, Yet they do not explain all the energetic interactions between those stellar objects. Gravity and mass are only a very small part of how and why stellar objects, and all other things interact with one another, and those formulas as found on Earth can only explain what is within the 3D matrix understanding of the highly materialistic society found on Earth, and fail to include all the interactions those stellar objects are having with one another, through and in other existential planes, such as the astral realms. And those astral realms are from where all things are being created and manifested, so they are extremely important to take into account, if what we want is to truly understand cosmology. Fixed and immutable constants like the formulas which define mass and gravity cannot describe all the aspects of the highly malleable consciousness that is shaping things into hard reality, reality as it is seen from the existential, material side. What holds all astral objects, such as stars and suns, planets and moons, all together in an eternal dance of coordinated movements, is a perfect balance and equilibrium of kinetic forces, like inertia, and are all manifested and held together by the powerful flow of intention, consciousness and awareness we all generate, as parts of Source, and as Source itself. Some parts of that flow may look like what is described with the word, gravity, but most other parts and behaviors of the flow of consciousness do not behave as gravity is described. Gravity is fixed with predictable mathematical formulas. It is rigid and inflexible, even as a concept, because it is considered a constant. On the other hand, consciousness as a flow, or however it can be seen, is dynamic and ever-changing. There couldn't possibly be anything more malleable and flexible than consciousness, or it wouldn't even be consciousness. Gravity is not a flow of consciousness in the ether. Gravity is a human concept that does not even exist in advanced interstellar cultures such as the Taygetan one. It is consciousness which is a flow in the ether, and from where, combined with focused intention and proper harmonics of a frequency, is what creates everything in the material world, all matter as such, and is also what holds stellar and cosmic objects in their orbits, and with their relationships between each other, along with all its movements and so on. I will no longer use the word gravity to describe Taygetan concepts. I am quite convinced that there is no such thing as gravity, certainly not as a force, much less as a particle or other dubious theories which are borderline materialistic dogma. It's not even a question of mind over matter, as many say, but of realizing that there is no matter as such, because it is just an illusion of the mind, and of all sentient beings with a soul, who in reality are nothing other than souls manifesting their ideas, which are reflected as the so-called material world. Even the mere concept of a squashed globe may be a reality for those who follow that trend, because that is their conscious experience, their choice, and their understanding. But even if they prove the globe is squashed, for themselves, it does not apply to others, who in equal terms can prove it's a sphere. There is no hard reality, and no such thing as an ultimate truth. Truth is always relative to the level of consciousness and understanding of who is experiencing it. Everything is based on points of view and attachments to pet ideas and concepts, which many times end up defining the identity of the people who have developed or have attached themselves to them. That's why it is so difficult for them to let those concepts go when newer and better ones appear, because they take it personally. Reality is always a relative thing, but the quest is not really to find what is the ultimate truth, because that holds no real existential value. What really matters is how we learn to get along, despite our differences of opinions and points of view, and how we can use all those differences in opinion to enrich our understanding, all of it, and of all of us. In the end, All those opinions and points of view, however different they can be, end up defining us all and shaping who we are. There is no gravity as such. All there is consciousness and awareness. Everything is mind, and the mind that really matters to you, and the one you should respect the most, is your own mind, because that is your experience and nothing can deny you are having it. But all the experiences and points of view that are not yours, and you feel are against or opposite to yours, are defining who you are as much as those ideas and concepts you hold dearest, if not more. Take care, all of you powerful, world-creating star seeds out there. This will be all for today, and see you next time. As always, thank you for watching my video, and for liking, sharing, and subscribing for more. And I hope to see you here next time. With much love, your friend, Mari Swaruu.